are now qualified. It's for you to now cast your ballot of either this symbol or this symbol of your choice.
Nota.
Nota. It's all yours. You have three choices to make. Our democracy allows us, the eligible citizens of India, to contest as well as to vote in an election, as per our Constitution of India. But for the benefit of certain people who may not know this, prior to our independence, during British period, not everyone was allowed to vote. The eligibility to vote depended on their assets, property, their wealthiness, so many aspects. And maybe in a village, only 2 or 3 people had a vote. My great grandfather had a privilege of having 1 vote in our village. He was the only person who was allowed to vote. So even in occasions like this, when somebody introduces a chief guest, he says he has got a vote. So from that period to now, our constitution has changed that every citizen of India above a certain age limit is eligible to vote, and every citizen of India above another age limit is eligible to contest on various positions. But what our democracy doesn't provide us is a learning platform where somebody comes and tells us what democracy is, how to understand it, and how to exercise our rights so that our lives are made better. And Toastmasters doesn't fail in that. Toastmasters gives avenues where somebody can come here and teach us what is what in the leadership channel. We are about to enter into one such session now where we have a senior Toastmasters from Medley Toastmasters Club who has achieved so many laurels, and one quote I always remember when I see him is Vida Muyarchi, Viswarupa Vetri. And that is what Toastmaster Mohan Subramaniam is, and he is here to deliver an education session on content and structure. Mohan Subramaniam, content. And he is not contesting, no votes for him.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tushar, our VP Education, is not here today. So he was talking to me that he's going to do a series of sessions. First session he wanted to do on content and series of sessions on public speaking. So he said the first session is going to be content on structure, can you do that? I thought fine. Then he called me after an hour later and said, it cannot be one of your boring sessions, it has to be a workshop. And Arvind also sent me a sample poster where session was struck out, the word session was struck out and it said workshop. So I got scared. I called my good friend Alex, who is an expert in this area. Hey Alex, now they want to do a workshop, I never done it. Oh, you don't know? How do I convert a session to a workshop? Alex said, very simple. Just give them a handout, a session becomes a workshop. So all of you have got the handouts. If you have not got the handout, please take it, then only it will become a workshop. So friends,
Please sit down, I'll raise you. Please sit down.
We're influencing the voter.
He is not contesting.
see the 3 pillars of public speaking, as all of us know, is content, structure and delivery. So we're going to plan a series of sessions. We're going to focus on content and structure today. Before I start, how many of you have not given a speech? Guests and new members, can you raise your hands? Okay, just for your benefit, I will take a couple of things off the table. First, there are 4 types of speeches. They are informative, persuasive, entertaining, inspirational. Okay. So CC3, the project 3 in the manual, in the basic manual introduces that. So to give you an example, if you want to talk about diabetes, if you talk about type 1, type 2 diabetes, insulin, beta cells, and how do you get diabetes and how do you prevent or manage it, that type of speech is informative. Inspirational, great. That is informative. Then if we talk about the ills of diabetes, what all it can cause, so why you should prevent, and then call to action to manage diabetes or prevent or manage diabetes, that is persuasive. Okay. If you take Wasim Akram as an example, all of you know he is a diabetic, but he rose to one of the highest level of athletic positions, pace bowling, long spells, very difficult for a diabetic. So if you take his life story and talk about it and then explain how anyone, even in that situation, can rise to a highest level of potential, that is Inspirational. So if you talk about my obsession towards sweets and how I got diabetes and all my fun trips to the doctor and dietitian, that is
Informative.
So you got most of it, I'm happy. So basically the idea what I'm trying to, all of you are with me, right? You can take diabetes and take any thread you want. It's not you are going to manufacture your thread, it is your own experience with diabetes, right? You're going to do that. And we took for a simple example of diabetes. You can take anything and make it a persuasive inspiration as the case may be. Second thing is CC2 to CC6, Project 2 to Project 6 is the foundation of public speaking. Please focus on that, even if you have completed all those projects. When you do future projects, accounts, manuals, focus on those projects, right? They're extremely important. That is the foundation of public speaking. All those actually use this foundation for you to amplify and deliver bigger and better projects. Now, how do you get content for your speeches?
Live events.
Live events?
Google.
Google.
Other speech.
Other speeches. So how do you get and work on your content? Do you just get an idea or develop suddenly, or do you have a structured method to do that?
On small incident, we will take it.
On small incident, we try to expand. Absolutely fine. I think most of us try to get one incident and then start developing content around that, and then meet the project objective. And some other speech outside of Toastmasters, we do that. That is perfectly all right. But what do you do if you want to give a lot of speeches and also give depth and variety to your content? So all the top speakers, see, I'm going to share some of my learnings by reading and watching other things. That's all I'm going to do here. So all the top speakers, not just in Toastmasters, outside of Toastmasters arena, they confess that they have a very structured process. That's exactly the first two sheets if you will cover about content. So the structured process is to take about your life's incidents and also what is happening around you. So first construct your life's incident. That's typically called a once upon a time technique. Say once upon a time, a beautiful baby in Kerala was born. The baby's parents named the baby Sunil Jose. so Sunil is going to write about his life story and go back and write down all the things you remember. Recently there was a book published by a top public speaker and stand-up comedian called Judy Carter. The book name is Message of You. So talking about you in any form, especially inspirational speeches, especially Toastmaster speeches, is a very, very well-known fact. So for that, we have to really have a disciplined approach to work on the content. Okay? I've given a series of questions. It's only a sample, and then you can expand those questions. I can help you offline if you want, and there's a lot available in the web also. The point is, these questions are challenging you to think. Now I want some volunteers. Okay, so what advice have you got from your parents or grandparents or uncles, aunts, any of your relatives?
Study.
Study. Did it help you?
Not so.
Not so.
So
Okay.
yeah, we was bored, we wanted to go into sports. So I want to play with my friends, I want to spend the day, but the study was just boring.
Okay. So the advice never helped you. So is there something you can talk about as a part of a speech or a speech itself? The advice, can it give you content for speaking?
Yeah, definitely. Everything under the sky, I think I can prepare content for it.
Fantastic. So who has been the best influence on you? Anybody?
Dad.
Dad.
Mom.
Why?
Dad.
Who answered the card? Why?
Because he's the first hero we grew up with.
Is there a specific incident you remember, or always has been your mentor?
A few incidents, yes. That's specific.
So can you talk about your dad in your speech?
Yes, sure.
Is there incidents you can cover, uncover,
Yes.
talk about it?
Yes.
Okay. Who has been your best boss or who has been your worst boss? Can you talk about it? Yeah. You can make a speech out of it. See, if you see, there are several other things, right, from who is your favorite actor. You can go through the questions at leisure. If you have gone through it, if you want to quickly answer, please, you can raise your hand and answer. Again, I want to remind you this is a workshop. So 30% of speaking has to come from the audience, and only 40% is going to workshop. So please go through the questions. It will challenge you to think. This is going to be a challenging task to develop your own content. I just want to, because any of us can take an idea and develop it. And why do we have to have a structured process to develop, and why do you have to store it? The reason is you have depth and variety to your content. many of these stories, Arvind mentioned about your dad, sorry, I didn't get your name. Zakir mentioned about the advice he got which he never followed. So the point is, many of these things will connect. When you have a huge file, it could be a spreadsheet or notebook. When you have your life stories, many of them will connect. It could be perseverance, it could be hard work, it could be dealing with poverty, it could be something in your life. If you have if you have depth and variety of content, you have a much better possibility of taking your piece of your story and going very deep. Like many of us would have done speeches, and I sent you a few links. Some of the speeches we have watched that will also tell you can go very deep into one speech, or you can have 2 or 3 pieces of content and link them into a common message by which you try to inspire the audience. Ultimately, what is a speaker? How do you become a great speaker? By transferring your experience to the audience, visually, or from auditory perspective, from a description perspective, whatever you want to do, vivid description, and emotionally connecting with the audience. So you basically transfer your experience back to the audience. That is why you mature as a better and better speaker. So are you with me? Having a structured process, however difficult and boring it is, it gives you content which you can definitely rely on, not just for Toastmaster speeches, but for any conversation you're going to have outside of Toastmaster, any presentation you're going to do. Okay, it also includes humorous pieces you can note down, just as a side. So anything in the questions quickly you want to pick up? Does it ring a bell? Or are you able to think something and say, okay, this is something I can at least talk about 2 minutes. That could be part of my next speech. Any of those questions we can.
How it is, how it is when you ever gone through your life, there are most of the instances you remember or recollect. It's not very significant. Probably your family or society or somebody will not play a significant role in today one. Where the place to after career, work, which though didn't have much influence in your way you wanted to figure that. So this is what I gathered from what the saying that everything people tell the story around. Those instances to be captured. That is the experience that what you learn from that is the emotional aspect.
Yeah.
Person not able to recollect how to take it over.
Okay, absolutely. The first part is as far as you can recollect. The second thing is the amount of significance. Remember, the same incident, a speaker can make it significant. A speaker becomes a speaker when he makes it. It's not he's fabricating. Let's say I had an argument with my daughter. It's a very unseeming. Every dad has an argument with his dad. Every daughter's marker, like he was talking about, is an advice from his parents and whoever, like on study well. But can you take a study well situation and convert it into a story? That is the art of speech writing and the art of delivering later. In fact, it's a very interesting question you have asked. It's often asked, actually.
Or maybe too much of, you get into so many things in life, you're not able to calculate that right.
You take that experience and can you make something out of it, genuinely, which is close to your heart, and transfer the experience to the audience. There's a great speech right there. It is unseeming, I totally agree. Many incidents, what you see, I sit and observe, I travel in a bus today, I observe something, nothing there. But somebody else, Sunil may be traveling in the same bus, watching the same incident, he can find a speech. It's a fact of life. So every single incident is not going to create a speech, right? Where it is possible, can you creatively expand that into a speech or a piece of content for some other speech is what makes you a better writer and speaker. Does it make sense? It is a fact actually. It is unseeming, yes. How do you give significance to that incident? That is what is going to make you a better speaker. At least some of those incidents. Now coming back to documentation, I have also given you, I think, 7 pointers. This is also recommended by the top speakers, not coming from me only. So I'm just sharing my learning. So when you go back, you ask a very valid question. You take that incident, note down the characters who are part of the incident. Extremely important. I will tell you, we will not have time to cover that, but note down the characters. It could be a friend, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your parents, somebody, your professor, right? Your football coach, it doesn't matter. So put the character in perspective when you document in your spreadsheet or book. And then what was the incident? It could be an advice, it could be a advice which Arvind got from his dad, and then write about that incident. And then tag the emotions. It's very important, as we all know, we can connect with the audience intellectually or emotionally. Data and statistics and logic connects with an audience intellectually, right? So when we talk about intellectually, people think, but emotion makes people act. That's where the inspirational speeches, or when they come in, when they transfer the emotions to the audience. So both are required, intellectual connection, emotional connection, both are required. So tag the emotions. What was the issue? Was your dad angry with you? It may look very meaningless at this point, but when you tag, when you eventually write a speech, it will be expanded into the, by using the right choice of words, and eventually when you add your delivery tools, it will come into life. A lot of people ask, hey, it happened 20 years back, how can I bring it to life? That's exactly the speaker in you. That's exactly why we are here in Toastmasters. Can you bring it to life? That's a challenge to you. To be very honest, you can, if you put all these things together. So put the characters, tag the emotion, very, very important. That will help you expand the story later. And also one last question, why is it important to you? So Arvind got an advice from his dad 15 years back. I just want to go deep and say why it is important 15 years later. Why is he remembering that particular incident? Out of all the advices, why is he remembering this particular advice? So I've given just a few pointers for you to think about, few questions for you to think about. This is only a basic. From a documenting perspective, please go through these 6 or 7 pointers in the beginning of the document I given, and use once upon a time, run through your entire life, update, and of course you're going to get daily or weekly you can update of what's happening from now on once you have a master file created. And more importantly, you also get from movies, books, TV shows. In fact, the 1995 world champion, Mark Brown, his entire speech was around Beauty and the Beast movie. He took that movie as a concept, and then he brought why you should give people a second chance. Even to the beast, you should give a second chance. You should not just beat up the beast or go kill the beast, because the beast may be, after all, not a beast, right? Maybe. So I don't know how many of you have seen that speech, but it's a brilliant speech. But the point what I'm making is, it's not from his life story. It is something very relevant to the society, but the core theme is from Beauty and the Beast movie. He built and won the world championship. It doesn't have to be a personal life story. I'm not saying that, but the only thing is, for a personal life story, everybody says about personal life story only because it is authentic, it is credible, it is your own story. It happened to you. So the advice what Arvind's dad gave, it happened to him. I don't think anybody can question it, or he is going to give his perspective of whether he took the advice or not. Okay, so that's about content very quickly. Any questions, feel free to ask me. Does it make sense? Feel free. As I said, it's a workshop, not a session. And Arvind is monitoring on the behalf of Tushar, so I don't want to take chances and being recorded also. So any questions?
Adding to it, what I would like to say to the next question is, the moment you think that you are going to deliver a speech on a concept, it will be an instinct, it will come like a flash. Some thought you will recollect even without your knowledge. The moment you think about laziness, the moment you think about enthusiasm, something will flash up. Then use that memory. Most of our memory are associated. We don't have absolute memories. The moment you pick up one incident or one memory, then you will immediately connect so many incidents that happened around it, and then you will get a la carte. Then you choose whatever is required and build a speech. So it is important to have that flash. The moment that flash, you should be ready to capture that flash and identify it, note it down, then start working on the associated activities. Then your mind will start its work and collect it. Then you follow the structuring other contents.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? We can definitely take it offline.
Today's corporate governance communicate to the people, right? Whether it is informational, recreational, the readers usually making speeches or speeches all around the display of competencies and skills. Right?
On subject matter.
Then we have multiple masks. The leaders are what we see as the person what is in the team meeting or the employees, they are not there. In workplaces, people wear multiple masks. If you see somebody as a leader, the leader has certain things to deliver. So we articulate our captain is communicating, our tune is communicating same in such a manner. You will not come to know who is the real person. How you will take one? What I hear from the way you put it across is, any communication to be successful, you need to be a little emotional, personal element has to be.
No, it is not. Let me correct you. It is not. Okay. Definitely not. See, inspirational speeches have a higher quotient of communication. Persuasive does not have that kind of, does not need, does not warrant, it will look not credible if you are going to show it. Informative does not need any emotional content at all. So if you are talking about corporate setting, mostly it's informative. Okay? Definitely, we are not going to show the same emotion. And in Toastmasters, a lot of discussion we are going to have. Are you guest by chance? No problem, you're welcome. So the reason was filtered towards little inspirational is that is what lot of contest speeches are. We want to analyze some contest speeches today. I had sent some links. You will not know that. That is. So just to give you draw a parallel, corporate is all informative, right? And persuasive in a sales situation.